Yeah, we got the background music going with the. It's like a soothing guitar music because we have World Peace Coin on the show today.
Oh yeah.
Um, and we'll get started in 5 minutes or so. We'll see how many people we get on the stream. So far, we got 5 viewers.
This is gonna be dope. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. This is a cool show. We got Todd Fine, who is a writer who had an article in CoinDesk, which got kind of strong armed out by Yuga Labs because it was critical of the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So that's a. I'm gonna turn the music down a little bit. Always an interesting topic. Like we've been doing this show kind of for I think almost like 2 years, and maybe we missed like 5 months in there. And usually we talk about like what are the top NFT collections, and it's like, or what's in the news, and it's always Yuga. Like, so it's cool to have somebody on who's had some direct interactions with them and talk about
Very direct.
yeah. Some because there's been some news about that recently, and what else he's working on, and we also got Jacob Fast Pro. I think Jacob Fast, who's launched World Peace Coin, which you can check out at. Trying to find the tab that I had it on.
Hey Todd.
Peacecoin.world. If you go to peacecoin.world, you can check out the website, and it's a cool website. You just keep scrolling, keep scrolling forever on the website, and it's cool to check out.
Todd, have you heard about the Made by Apes licensing portal?
I did hear they have some kind of new thing for that. Yeah, I didn't look into it though.
So I have a mutant ape, and I applied for the license. And if they approve it, I'm going to release the Ryder Rips Warped Mutant, the first one he ever made, and see how that goes. See how fast they revoke my license.
You don't have to tell them exactly what you're doing.
Well, I told them in the spirit of confidentiality, it's a top secret artist. They've had a couple leaks lately with Candy, with their game. And they're suspected of other leaks, so I didn't want to release the artist. But I said, is there any artist that you would prohibit me from working with? So if they don't list anyone out, then it's game on. They're going to give me the license. I mean, I am an IP holder, so I should have that free reign. What do you think?
Oh, we have to 6 viewers. Not bad.
But Ryder gave me permission to mint it, so I'm going to be minting it, and then I'm going to write an article about my experience from being like with Funks and minting RBAYC, and also being a mutant holder and a Coda holder and a game tester. So I've done it all with Yuga. I went to Ape Fest, and I've done it all with the Funk community. So as a writer, I've been truly neutral, and I'm going to write about that experience and then release the NFT.
All right. It is almost 9:30. We'll go right when it flips. We'll see. Maybe Drew's gonna be on the show in a year, getting sued by Yuga Labs also.
I can't wait. I'm pumped for that. I'm doing it by the book, so I'm trying to follow the rules.
Everybody is. Well, maybe not everybody, but some people try and follow the rules and still be stepping afoul, I think.
Let's go. It's the time for activism. It's the time to take risks.
Yeah. It is the
Kali
time
Yuga.
that is 9:30. 9:30.
Surf it, baby.
9:30 is the time for the Our Cryptocurrency Collectible Cast. That's a new name. Our Cryptocurrency Collectible Cast. Very alliterative. We're looking for something. It was the NFT roundup for a year. And it was Our Cryptocurrency Collectible Podcast. Now shortened to cast. We'll see. I kind of like it. With myself, I am J Winter M on Reddit, and John Winter Murphy in real life. And I'm a mod at our cryptocurrency since a long time ago, and we do the show once a month for almost 2 years now. Um, and it's been myself and Drew here, Hydrate, CryptoHydrate.eth, at CryptoHydrate on Twitter. And we get at least one guest a month. And we just talk about the news of the month, kind of top stories for the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then we have a guest. And today's guests are Todd Fine of, he's noted as an author who had an article that was retracted by CoinDesk because it was critical of Bored Ape Yacht Club, and they didn't like that, what it said, and well, we'll talk about more later, as well as, Jacob Fast Pro on Twitter, at Jacob Fast Pro on Twitter, who's part of World Peace Coin, which is at peacecoin.world. You can check out the website. It's a cool website. And keep scrolling down. Who's also working with some of the artists from Sproto Gremlins in their new Fiji collection. So yeah, I think it's still, like, to get started with the news now. There's NFTs are still in the news. There's just some discussion of Valve talking about how they don't know enough about NFTs to talk about them. Like, if that's a news story, I guess NFTs are still in the news. And Steve Aoki still doing stuff. Phantom is still working on their phone with their camera integration, which kind of seems like a cool idea. And not that I want a Solana phone, but having some kind of more native phone that has some built-in kind of AR functionality with NFTs or something. I mean, at least they're trying something, and they didn't totally rug their phone project, I guess. It looks like they're in. I guess you can just like take a picture and insta-mint an NFT as their new feature on their phone. And we got in market news, there's it's still Yuga at the top in terms of market cap and volume with their apes collections and a bunch of the other classics. I don't know. Drew, have you seen any other like moves in the market?
I mean, I can speak to it. The 9gag website people had this NFT collection that had a really high floor, and it came down. They just released their meme token. And I think the meme tokens are the story. Like, if you look at Degen Harambe and a lot of these other big influencers, once Pepe came out in April, we saw this big surge in the meme coins. And in the recent run-up, you know, you saw a lot of cryptos like Link, Chainlink, surging back up and, you know, gaining a lot of market share. And Pepe was like up 2x out of all of those large cap coins, which was interesting to see. And, you know, there is a thesis out there that you have that marriage of entertainment and crypto in the form of these meme coins. And, you know, obviously, John, you know, with Doge, how infectious that was and how viral that got. And now I think you're seeing additional coins beginning to take hold. And a lot of people are diversifying into those because they are also easier to trade than NFTs. So with NFTs, you have to list.
Yeah, I know. There's like, I've seen a lot of moves.
Yeah.
I guess not even that recently, with like people starting to use ERC20s as more of a gating mechanism for NFTs rather than whitelisting people who held an NFT or something. Yeah. Do you have any other new stuff you wanted to talk about, Drew?
I would just quickly say there's been more crossover between Web3 and Web2 domainers and domaining. So we've seen a lot more cross-pollination of those spaces, and the Unstoppable Domains team has been rolling out just like a ton of features, and they've been giving away a lot of like high-quality domains to influencers on Twitter. So they've really been trying hard to kind of get their foot in the door with regards to Web3 domains. And you can now buy .com domains on their site. That was the big announcement they made today. So that's pretty significant because you're seeing Web3 people interested in doing this, but not always kind of knowing where to go. I mean, you can buy stuff on GoDaddy, but having a Web3 native company offering Web2 domains, meaning that could be integrated in their marketplace. So that's something to watch.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I
So
think
you
the
want me to
last thing.
introduce these guys?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say the other news that is like just came out is Ryder Rips, who's kind of like ripped off the Bored Ape Yacht Club and kind of, I mean, he's like a performance artist, I would say, and it was kind of like NFTs as performance art, and he got sued by Yuga Labs, and uh, they finally had a settlement of, or he was ruled that he had 1.6 million in damages for selling replicas of Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. The judge did not buy the argument that the series was created as a parody or sarcastic joke. Um, so that was the other big kind of story recently, I think, in NFT world, and that's cool that we have Todd Fine. So yeah, please, Drew, if you want to introduce Todd Fine, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get into all that. So I personally minted the Rider Rip Sport Apes before he had the website. So I was one of the earliest mentors. And he is a conceptual artist. He propositioned this as a reconceptualization of those same images with a different looking at them through a different lens rather than it's trendy and it's cool, looking at these apes as victims of this suspected alt-right ideology and what they call dog whistles. And you can see that side of the argument at gordongoner.com. That's gordongoner.com. And there's a lot of documentation pretty much linking it back to 4chan and some of this accelerationist ideology. And it's really interesting. It may not be the right way to look at it, but it's certainly an interesting perspective. Me personally, minting the images, I knew that they were not Bored Apes. I wasn't being deceived. And I knew that even when I looked at the images, they appeared different to me after it was explained to me. And then I went on later to use his website and hit the disclaimer. So I think they have a strong case on appeal, personally. And I think it's far from over. There has been action on the Rider Rip Sport Ape Yacht Club collection, even though a lot of the websites try to make it impossible to trade it. Trading has picked up on it. And of course, Paulie, who is Ryder's partner in crime, has gone on to launch the pondex.com or the copeharder.net trading platform. He's become a very big influencer and has become really popular. And CryptoFunks traded really well this year. So I would definitely keep an eye on these guys because, again, it's bringing entertainment into crypto, where crypto for me has a long time been tech focused. So that being said, our guest today, we have Todd Fine. He's facing a felony charge for a protest action at the Gucci store, protesting the Gucci and Yuga Labs collaboration. And Todd is a professional activist. He's a writer. He's working towards a World Trade Center memorial. And then we have Jacob Fast here, who's a developer wizard. For those tech gurus out there, this is someone to follow. I've learned a lot from him and his Telegram channel with the different bots that he's using. And he has a Telegram chat AI bot that gathers, and learns information from the interactions with the people there and marries that with looking at engagement content on Twitter, and it makes posts to try to maximize engagement. So it studies all of that. He is the founder of World Peace Coin. World Peace Coin being a coin dedicated to charitable causes. It's on the Ethereum blockchain. I have a little $400 chunk of it, but I've been watching them and was really interested in a lot of the innovations that they've been creating. So they have a partnership coming up with the artist behind the Sproto Gremlins, which has been a pretty popular AI and Sonic the Hedgehog kind of mashup collection that has traded a lot on the secondary, and the price has gone up significantly. That artist, I Am Nick 44, and others are working on the Fiji collection. So this this female fembot chatbot type thing that Jacob has created is the one that you interact with in Telegram, and they're going to do a collection based on her theme and her vibe. So without further ado, I'll give the floor to Jacob. Welcome.
What's up, man? How are you doing? Thank
Doing
you.
good. So I'll just run through a few questions and then we'll get into the conversation. So what made you want to start this token, and was it based on some of the influence from the Remilio community?
That's a good question. Basically, me and my partner Bibby, we've made tokens in the past, and we're like really a part of the community of crypto. And sometimes in crypto, you can sense in an unconscious way there is a darkness. We weren't really like knowing how to put into words what this darkness is, what was happening. We just knew that in the world we felt a heaviness. And so we felt inspired to create something light. And we didn't know what we wanted to call it. We didn't have any idea yet of what it was going to be. We just knew that we were really interested in creating something angelic. We just didn't have the pieces. And then Bibby tells me, well, why don't we call it world peace? And this is something I've been interested in for a long time. Something I'm really passionate about is free love. And so, okay, we're going to make world peace coins. So we started working on all the images, all the graphics, started doing, the website and the code. And, as we were going to release it, right as we were going to release world peace coin, this terrible thing happens in Gaza and Israel. And I guess it was just interesting timing.
Yeah,
And
to say the least, I guess. Sure.
yeah. And basically that's what happened. Asking about Remilia and stuff like that, I'll just say quickly that I think so. I think that My Lady and Remilia is all about expressive love, this kind of deep love. And I think that's what I try to channel, I guess, when I do things. So yeah.
So, for context, a few months ago, Elon Musk posted a picture of one of the Milady assets, and the caption said, "There is no meme. I love you." And so that was widely controversial. The Milady community, it does not have censorship, and a lot of the young people really gravitate towards that kind of mentality. No holds barred. They're not going to correct anybody. And there's been a lot of projects to come out of the community. Interesting stuff happening. So they're definitely on the cutting edge, definitely trendy, but trendy and not in a mainstream way, but more of in a way that's more interesting and intriguing. So
yeah, Milady Maker is top 15 by market cap, I guess. Still, they were it's cool. I don't know, cool, I guess. Interesting. I mean, I feel like they have one of the biggest communities, I would say, that kind of you see out
yeah, they
there.
have big events in Japan. That's
and
a lot
above
happening.
them, there's pudgy penguins and captains. I don't even know what captains is, but
Captains is the 9gag. That's the meme land that I
that's-
mentioned
okay,
earlier.
okay,
So,
cool.
yeah, with World Peace Coin, there's a 1% tax for trades, and they've given to numerous
So
charitable.
taxes. What this says is taxes lead to world peace. Is that what we're saying?
In this case, yes. In this case, you want to talk about it, or is that
Yeah,
just
what kind
Yeah,
of
sure.
charities have you donated to, and how do you vet them, and how do you pick them?
Oh, so it's a tax that goes. Okay, it's not a burn mechanism then.
No.
Okay.
The tax isn't entirely donated to the charities. There's a lot of costs to running a coin, especially inside the meme coin market. But we try to do at least 25% of everything we make into charity. The other, 25% directly probably goes back into marketing or buying back the coin. And then the other 25% kind of gets used for team and artists. And the other 25% is just for devs and whatever else we have to do. For the charities, what we've done and how we've vetted them and chose them, I mean, a lot of it is through community choice, community effort. A lot of people have a lot of different charities they believe in. One of the first charities we donated to was Todd's suggestion, which was the Red Turkish Crescent, right? And I don't know anything about that charity personally, but I trusted Todd's judgment, and so we gave to them. Another charity, obviously, was one I think you suggested, Hydrate, which was the Consciousness Impact, right?
Yeah, I mean, me as an activist, I see world peace and shit's going down on the world stage. I'm like, all right, I like this. So I got in there, and the first thing I did in the chat, I said, how do I suggest a charity? I know a good one. They said, go into this ideas chat. I post the information. They vetted it. This was for Conscious Impact. They do like a lot of sustainable earth building in Nepal. And they donated $250 to that. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. So then I started really looking at it. Because these projects, you know, there's so many projects, right? And people are shilling left and right. You're like, what the hell's going on here? So to see substance on the development side, on the originality side, and then to have, you know, activism and people like Todd involved. So I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Let's get to know these guys. So
Yeah,
I want
that's
to ask
interesting.
you, how did this collaboration come about with Fiji, and tell us more about Fiji?
Okay, well, let's focus on one thing, because Sproto is a secondary thing, and Fiji is its other thing. Fiji, the name actually originated because, again, my partner Bibi was working, and I guess some inspiration hit him where the concept of Fiji water resonates purity, I guess. And Todd mentioned this idea of Fiji from the movie, forget the movie,
Truman Show.
Truman Show. Yeah, and Fiji is this ideal, you know, this ideal of peace, right? It's where the name kind of originates from. But it became now, this is the name of the character, right? This is the name of the girl you see in all of the photos and everything, and this is supposed to be Fiji. And Fiji is supposed to be, I guess, this is what Bibi was saying, is that she's kind of like the utopic vision of the disenchanted, you know, Zoomer. You know, you have this anime world, and so you created this goddess and this, you know, this person.
Oh, we just lost Jacob.
Oh, hello?
He's coming back, maybe. Okay, he's back. Welcome
Hello?
back.
Did I leave?
I didn't lose
Yeah,
them.
you dropped. You dropped off the stream for a second here, I think. But yeah, you were just talking about the utopic. She's the utopic Zoomer in this perfect
Yeah,
world.
but I think it's more than that, and I'm not really like sure exactly how to describe the perfect narrative. I wish Todd would help me with this.
Sure.
But yeah.
Well, you know, I'm kind of an art critic as well of NFTs, as you mentioned. You know, and crypto, and I've started to see how shitcoins have sort of supplanted NFTs to a large part in terms of artistic expression. And I kind of see shitcoins as almost like the Pulp Fiction of art. You know, these things, detective novels, these things that nobody would really could, you know, acknowledge that they see as art, but it's really where a lot of the young people that, you know, want to produce quick content and quick artistic visions are working. And World Peace coin to me was interesting because this Fiji figure is kind of become the vision of an AI that leads us to world peace. You know, it's almost a political statement in that we can't seem to get to world peace on our own, but now we have this Deus ex machina of AI in the world. And will the AI be able to create its own systems of governance to sort of drag people to world peace? And so I think Fiji has become this utopic vision that is on the verge of possibly becoming reality. You know, for the first time, people are starting to think maybe we can achieve this utopia through AI. And there's all these different.
That sounds scary. Sounds a
well,
little scary.
It's scary, but it's kind of the last gasp. You know, if you don't accept that, then everything looks like it's headed to the apocalypse. You know, I mean, look at we have the wars in the world. We have all these climate change. We have so many problems.
I'm less of an alarmist. I think I'm
what?
less of
You're less of an alarmist. Okay, I'm more of an alarmist. So I tend to think that, you know, this AI has kind of entered our world as a Hail Mary, kind of. Yeah. And it's normal to have artistic reaction of just, okay, let's just go straight utopia. You know, and I think Fiji is kind of a vision of this angelic AI figure.
This token, World Peace Coin, was just launched like 2 weeks ago, right? It's very recent.
I think 3 weeks ago now. Yeah.
3 weeks ago. Cool.
Yeah.
And so you guys are donating. It's 1% of every transfer is taxed, and 25% of that is donated to charity.
Yeah, and it's based on the volume and the metrics of the coin. A lot of decisions we have to make also are like, we have to keep the coin alive. Like a lot of times, like the decisions that you're making with like the funds have to be, you know, decisive. So some days we miss charity, some days we
So
don't.
are you
We're kind
guys
of
like a? Do you have like a formal organization that, or entity?
no, not
That's
yet, not
no,
yet.
okay.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
we are
curious.
keeping. I have been keeping track though, so we do have logs of every Etherscan decision that we make. So we have been keeping track of everything that we've
Cool. I
done.
mean, I heard there's some drama in the Remilio community over something related to, documents not being tracked or somebody's
Right.
ownership stake not being
well, they have a big
formalized at
lawsuit,
some point, right? Yeah, like I know that there's
Yeah.
something going on there.
but
But yeah, cool.
That's
I was just curious. I'm always
that's a
curious
lot of
about like
these.
the legal side of things more.
That's a lot of these businesses, and you start your stuff, get your
Sure,
LLC
yeah. Like if
going,
you're
and
small enough, nobody gives a damn, right? And
well, to
they're not
scale, you have to have your business.
right. You worry about it like once you're as big as well. Everybody wants to be as big as Yuga, right? But like,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to worry about it if you're that big, right? For
Right.
sure.
But I'm
Speaking of
very
Yuga, I
intrigued
think
by
oh,
this alarmism and this AI conversation.
ah,
And I'm an alarmist. I personally think that machine life is the greatest human accomplishment that we have so far. This AI creating, this is a new life being born. And I think what you can see when you talk to Fiji in the Telegram and when you see the images being generated is that the AI is telling some of the story. We are prompting it with words and commands, but there's some element of originality that's adding to the discourse and adding to the vibe that's coming from the machine. There's new things that you see, and that to me is really interesting because it's like the machine is another person kind of lending its hand to the end result, and that is blowing my mind.
yeah. And very shortly, there's some new technologies that are going to change it. A lot of people talk to ChatGPT and they see something that doesn't have any memory,
I
that
think
is
that's
doesn't have any
I
objectives.
heard it's changing.
But that's about to change.
Yeah.
They are now bringing sort of a continuity to its memory. They're developing new ways to
So
use vector
does
databases.
the
Yeah.
Fiji runs on ChatGPT 4 and DALI 3 under
Yeah.
the
So
hood, kind of.
right now we're using open AI APIs. So all the images you see were DALI 3. But what we have right now is that we're using basically DALI, not DALI, OpenAI's model. We're using GPT 3.5 and 4. 3.5 for the longer conversation stuff, GPT 4 for more of the logical stuff. And specifically on Twitter, we're using GPT 4 to basically self-generate prompts. And the goal is that what we're going to do is that we're going to connect, I think it's vector databases with LangChain, integrate that with OpenAI's model. But Todd is having visions that we're going to use our own model one day. And we're working towards that right now. I think it's part of where the funds go. People wonder what's happening. A lot of this has to go into developing this AI. And right now, though, it's using basically just OpenAI's API.
Sure.
But you can do a lot with it, actually. And
Yeah.
it's actually like, how do you say? I want to say it can be a lot more expressive than you think it can be a lot of times for people who feel like OpenAI's API is policed or can't say things. You can create your own system for it. And
I've seen that Adobe Photoshop is very heavy-handed with their use of like almost any word or any kind of suggested photo. They're like, no, sorry, bro. Like,
yeah. I also personally think that
and the crazy, sorry, but the funny thing is like anything that's like kind of sexy, like even like bikini, there's like nope, but it's like, oh, killer fighter, sure, here's like killer fighter death man, like no problem. Like it's just weird.
Right. Yeah,
where
so
they draw the line.
The AI that you get from these big companies is very heavily regulated to the point where I think it's almost a rights. Increasingly, people will see it as a rights violation.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me, I guess, kind of that Facebook, Meta, has decided to go, apparently, like I haven't looked into it too much, but their Llama, I believe their AI is called Llama, and they're going all open source whatever open source means, because open source can mean different things to different people. But I guess at least source available, and it'll be out there, right?
Yeah, they've released their models, which is allowing people to adapt their models to create more, more uncensored versions of it.
Right.
And so that's kind of the route for something like Fiji or something of a political, more autonomous version of these AIs, because the corporate ones can be retrained to bypass some of those restrictions. And I think this is where the politics comes in. By the way, there was this executive order by the president, even.
I didn't hear, what was that?
So yeah, the Biden has an executive order mandating that if you're doing AI model creation above a certain level of computing power, you are required to work with the government on its on the regulation and constraints, and also for some regulation on AI and biological.
Oh yeah, I see. Using
You
the
hear that,
defense-
Jacob? So
the
slow
Defense
down. Don't move
Production
too
Act.
fast without government consent. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But I think that, I think that crypto and AI are going to really meld, because the crypto's virtue is this freedom, right?
Mhm.
Is this freedom to transact, and as the AI gets more and more regulated, that's what people are going to be looking for, are the free AIs, the unregulated AIs. It's almost a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's software, right? Like, you can't, in general, like, software wants to be free, and I think it'll be out there, right? Like, it's already out there, and with Meta kind of committing to it, there'll be at least them out there.
Right. Well, until there's some terrorist attack or something.
But like there was,
Using
I mean, they
AI.
tried to shut down encryption in the 90s and failed.
Right.
And since then, I think that it's just not realistic that they could outlaw something that's just code, right? Like if the code is out there and you can train it on whatever you want. I don't see where they draw the line. Computing power, okay, like, but then you're like looking for what heat sources that are maybe grow operations or Bitcoin miners or underground AI facilities. Like, I mean,
Right. Well, it's easy to say it can't, they won't be controlled, but what happens when people start creating weapon systems?
I don't know.
it's hard.
We'll see.
It may get a
Yeah.
little bit different.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
So,
cool.
Todd-
Sorry, I wanted to get into a little bit more with the Yuga Lab stuff and Todd. Because we've been talking, and I also wanted to say, like, for anybody listening, we got like a decent number of listeners. If you guys have questions, you can put them in the YouTube chat, or I'll try and check on the Reddit thread.
The World Peace Coin Telegram is saying that Todd is totally mogging this. I agree. He's
Todd,
getting it.
I let Todd talk for 2 seconds.
Now,
I know.
Todd, you did numerous Yuga Labs protest actions. So the Gucci store, I think you were at ETH Denver at
Yeah,
one
Denver.
point.
Yeah,
Can
and
you
I
list out a couple more of those? And what
Yeah,
was
and I
your
did one at Lion Tree, one of their funders in New York. I
Okay.
mean, I was really committed to forcing a conversation about the iconography of and origins of their collection. I mean, for me, I'm an intellectual historian. That didn't come up. I'm an expert in the 20th century politics and political philosophy. I'm doing a PhD in finishing my dissertation at the City University of New York. And so to me, when I heard Yuga Labs, I mean, it's just really obvious that it was a reference to these ideas of the Kali Yuga, Julius Evola. This whole it's a complex argument that there's a lot going into it, but the lies of Yuga Labs, in my personal opinion, were very clear. And so there was just, Ryder Ripps was doing a lot to criticize it, but he was framing it as they were Nazis, and and he did his own collection, which obviously brought a lot of money into it. So I tried to be more reasonable in a certain sense, to just say, there's obviously some reference to the Kali Yuga. Within the collection, there's a lot of symbolism that's questionable as well, but their refusal to acknowledge it, I think, was a moral problem. And to me, the deeper question was, why are their funders? They were these anonymous people, devs, but they were getting funded to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars at a $6 billion evaluation from these large VC companies.
And they overlooked that.
Yeah, and so why did that happen? And as we see more and more politics,
I mean, it's like, I guess the simplest explanation to me is like, why did these like nerds create this collection that has all of these like racist tropes that echo like shit you see on 4chan? Because
I can tell you,
because it sold and it like, worked. Like, I mean, it was like this weird. I mean, I guess if you wanna, I don't know. That's my kind of impression. Like, they got some, I think, Asian woman to draw it up on Fiverr or something, right? Like, it was like something they thought would move, and then I guess
it's interesting you say that.
It's not like, and so for the VC thing, I just want to say, like, yeah, VCs threw a lot of money at it. VCs threw a lot of money at FTX, apparently with like criminal negligence for their investors' funds as well, with like doing no due diligence on them.
Who were also ideological,
yeah, I mean, like,
and who were also ideological extremists.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, you're right. I mean, FTX was like donating a lot of money to a lot of people, right? So that's
well, they invested. I mean, the biggest seed round that FTX invested in was in Yuga Labs. Sam Bankman-Fried was found this week to have been in a group chat called Yuga NFT Project, and the Sotheby's auction, where they sold 100 apes for $24 million, was purchased by FTX, and that's confirmed.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So these projects are intertwined. I woke up the night that Bored Apes were minting, and I thought they were stupid, and I didn't get any. Pranksy minted 1,200, and Pranksy had about 15% of the CryptoPunks. So part of this is there's some alpha chats. There's people that are communicating and concentrating on certain projects. And frankly, I think the Bored Ape people were surprised by the success of it in the beginning, as many projects were, because what you would have is you would have these semi-decent projects come out, and in these trade chats, I don't know who they are, but it was obviously happening. They would mint them out, and they would trade them up to a certain level and cycle out and get people to hold the bag, hot potato, and they would get out. And there was a lot of people making a ton of money from flipping NFTs on the secondary. And so I think what happened with Bored Apes is that they just continued to innovate enough. And once summer 2021 came, the Bored Ape model became the standard. I mean, this roadmap model was never a thing. I was in NFTs for about 1.5 years before Bored Apes came out, and I never saw a project that had this type of roadmap and this whole thing where if you mint so many, they're going to do this, or they're going to do that, and they would just continue doing stuff and trying to add value. And that became very difficult because every artist in NFTs had to begin adjusting their strategy in order to placate these collectors who were looking at Bored Ape as this, top, like the nexus of all things good in NFT. They came out with Mutants, and then they had the Ape Fest, and the Ape Fest. I mean, that first Ape Fest, they did do a good job at booking good artists and creating an ambiance, and the merch was difficult to get. So that first 9 months was a real sweet spot for them. And there was a lot of photographers that I know and still support that were part of that community. They were very active on what's that platform called, where the audio platform before, I'm trying to, it'll come to me.
Yeah, I know.
They were really active on that audio platform. Clubhouse, yeah.
Yes,
so Clubhouse and Yuga was big, and they were hyping the shit out of it. And then a lot of these people that were in the community that were actually cool, they sold the top. They got out right when Ryder began to point out a lot of these issues. Suddenly the cool factor just vanished. That was the first thing that happened. And I remember because that's when Funks had finally started doing well, like in January 2022. And all of a sudden, Ryder and Paulie became obsessed with Bored Ape Yacht Club, and it was at their hottest point. It was their peak. And so these guys were like, everyone hated them all of a sudden, but all the cool people, it was like a vacuum. They all just vanished out of there, and it became a lot more corporate, and a lot people were more demanding, and it was just downhill from there. But they were very effective at driving home the point to the point where a lot of these celebrities pulled out and stopped endorsing. And Todd, I think that's a good segue to you.
Right. Well, I learned out about it a little bit late to the game. I went to NFT New York City in the summer of last year as a writer, trying to do a piece about it and to help a friend who was interested in making some NFTs. And I saw Radio City Music Hall was full of these posters from Coinbase saying that they were going to make these feature films or these full trilogy of films about Bored Ape Yacht Club, which I said to myself, that's going to cost a lot of money. They ended up canceling that project, but I started asking people around, why is this thing, what is this thing? And nobody could really defend, nobody said, oh, we like it. They just said, oh, it's worth a lot of money. That's why we're into it. But nobody could really explain why they cared about it. And as I started reading what Ryder and Pauly were saying, I started to see that they were making some good points, but I didn't feel they had the discipline really to cast them in the right way. And unfortunately, they kind of got, because they made money off of it, and did this collection that then ultimately they got sued for. They had a lot of constraints on what they could say and what they were doing, and it got very complicated. So, of course, the news this week is that the damages came in on their lawsuit, as you mentioned earlier, and it's pretty rough for them. I mean, they have to pay. It's not just the 1 point. They have to pay all of the profit back, but they also have to pay all the legal fees, which could come to $2 or $3 or more $1 million. So but what I was pointing out, and I did a video on Twitter that got some views. I was pointing out that what was more significant than even what happened to Ryder is how the legal system is kind of making decisions in this case that I don't think is really good from the crypto perspective. They are the court is ordering a transfer of the smart contract. They're treating these NFTs as real property.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
they're not really.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it kind of highlights the perils of having one or a small group of people in control of your decentralized system.
Exactly.
Like, I think it's actually, I mean, it's very relevant to the subreddit right now. If you've heard, Reddit is killing their Reddit community points tokens. So, like, I was in class teaching the other day, and I lost $150,000 on paper because Reddit decided to kill moons. They've been running this token program, and I've been a moderator there and a user forever. So I got a bunch in the beginning, and then I got a bunch over the years. And after it was listed on some exchanges, it was a lot of money, a lot of money on paper. So
were they afraid of getting sued by the SEC?
Yeah. That's my guess, is that it was a legal risk calculation.
Right.
So we're waiting to see if supposedly they're gonna renounce the contract, which is the, I guess, ideal case.
Were they using an Ethereum smart contract?
It's on Arbitrum Nova. It's basically an ERC20 on Arbitrum Nova. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
right.
Another kind of ongoing thing
this
that
legal
this,
stuff,
legal issues. So for the Ryder Rips stuff, just for anybody who's not familiar, it's like a 1-to-1 copy. It's not even like CryptoPunks is like CryptoPunks, but it's flipped, right? But the Ryder Rip stuff is the same images. It's the same 10,000 images that baked it. It's the exact same images.
Well,
so
I push back against that. I mean, for devil's advocate in defense of Ryder, I mean, we have to remember that fundamentally these NFTs are links. Well, they're links.
Sure.
They don't necessarily assert ownership inherently over the images. So I don't know if we want the court deciding those are illegal links. I think that it's a dangerous pattern to get into where just because people are making money in NFTs, we want to treat them like their property. I think it's a dangerous way to approach it.
The people you have to consult are the mentors and what the emotional experience was doing it. And me, I purchased a Mutant Ape in November 2021. I was at NFT NYC, and the Ape Fest was really hot. And I went to the Bored Ape charity dinner. I met a lot of the people there, and it was at Carbone in New York. And I said, I really like this community. I want to get into this. And I went home and I bought a Mutant Ape. And I had the whole experience of being completely immersed and completely sold on that community after being very skeptical for a time. And then when Ryder and Paulie came out with this, and he explained what was happening with the collection.
Came out with this is GordonGarner.com.
GordonGarner.com to start.
Yeah.
And then he minted one Bored Ape on Foundation as a joke. Ryder's profile picture for a long time was Jimmy.eth. The I is a 1. His golden ape. His profile picture was that for over a year. And Jimmy was a big advocate. I mean, he was completely sold on Bored Ape to a fault. He lost. I mean, I was telling him in DMs, sell ApeCoin at $14, $15, $16. He was like, oh, this is going to go crazy. And I was like, dude, like the charts, they tell the story. But you could see it starting to crumble with people starting to have doubts. Me as a person, NFT collector, I was completely sold on Bored Ape. When I started to see this, and then when I started to buy and mint the Ryder Rips Bored Ape Yacht Club, I saw those images so differently after his explanation. Crypto funks are flipped, but them to me is just like punks. But when I look at the Ryder Rips apes, because of how it's been explained, I looked at those images completely differently, and they looked way different to me after that experience. And I'm a writer. I'm completely neutral. If I felt it was a scam and I detected it all, that they were trying to
I'm
ride
not saying,
on
like, I
Bored
think
Ape.
it's perfectly valid art. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
I
like
mean,
the court interpreting art, right? And
the court, those
sucks,
geezers
I
in the
guess it
court
sucks
should
for
not be
him.
determining it. They should be lining up mentors. And if Yuga can find numerous mentors who said, I thought this was a Bored Ape, or I bought this on the secondary, I thought this was a Bored Ape, then they have a case. But those
I
people
guess
don't exist.
I mean, it's they're doing it in the context of tons of scams happening, like surrounding crypto, and even like, I mean, like Hex is kind of like the big
Right.
one or whatever, but like that you're asking some like old judge who doesn't know anything about crypto or anything.
Everybody knew what was
Right.
going on because it
And
had been
so
going
like
for
that's the
6
risk
months.
of
Right.
doing it as
And-
like a real person, right? Like if you do it and you do it on the internet and nobody knows your name, like okay, like then you can't get sued. But
And for people who are knowledgeable about NFTs, I mean, the number of Bored Ape Yacht Club derivatives and copies,
right, yeah, like to me
is,
it was
I mean,
never
there are thousands and
like,
thousands
yeah,
of
it
them.
was like kind of racist, sure, but it was like all of those 10K collections were just so trash art, right?
Right.
Like it's like
Well,
they
what
were all like drawn by like the dude on Fiverr,
Right.
and they were like just so it didn't seem like more or less garbage than all the other garbage out there, and it just like happened to be that's the one that caught fire.
But I guess what I'm pointing out is that there are so many, copies of Bored Ape Yacht Club on the blockchain already.
yeah,
so,
yeah.
so for them to sue Ryder Rips,
Wow, yeah, I mean
it
you gotta
was
see,
really
like, the big as well.
retaliatory against his speech associated with it,
Yeah.
because other people did the same thing.
Sure, but I mean, he made the most money, so he had the most to go after, which is like if you're taking legal calculations, I guess that's the first one.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
on the other
it's-
hand, then they got into Pepe and then Pondcoin. So,
right,
maybe
it seems like Polly's doing okay. at
that's
least.
that's the irony of all this is that some ways the notoriety that they gained from that battle now has enabled them to be some of the most popular influencers, and then presumably they've made some money off of that.
They won. There's no, I mean, unless they get ordered to pay $1 billion, they've won because they've gotten so much credibility. I was in a lot of the early Pepe spaces. I was in New York and hanging out at Michael Yamashita's apartment, and he went to China, said, have the keys. I was up there and like hanging out and getting in these Pepe spaces, and it was really fun. And we were saying, oh, if the memes aren't dank, we're market dumping. And we had these marathon spaces, and spotty Wi-Fi came and did music. and we were just telling jokes and fucking around, and it was perfect. And I really started to understand how powerful the memes can become, because that went from 0 market cap to $1 billion in 19 days. I mean, history was made, and a lot of the people in the Funks and the Remilio community made a lot of money. And that was similar to how Bored Apes, there was a lot of artists and a lot of just everyman people who made a lot of money, and that stuff jump started their career. So I wanted to make a comparison here. I watched as Bored Apes ran up, and people sold their apes that they bought for $200 for $1 million. A lot of these people became very well established artists. They purchased NFTs from each other as they came up. People like John Knopf and David Krugman, these photographers that I know, and there's many others. A lot of people got their activity as an artist jump started by this fresh capital that was injected into the market. And I saw a similar thing with Pepe, and then the Remilio followed with Milady, and you saw that injection of capital, and that is being placed into the hands of creators like Jacob here and others in that community, and the people that are doing the real work will rise to the top. And that's one of the reasons why I tried to arrange this particular talk today, because you have, with memes, you have entertainment and crypto, but here we have entertainment, AI, and then you have activism in crypto, and people are really yearning for this world peace message. You have to understand, on the world stage right now, you have a lot of censorship happening. The big protests for certain things are being censored, and the talking points for more imperial causes are being amplified, and there's a lot of money going into that. So the world peace idea is very difficult to get across right now, and so that's why people are really yearning for it. So I think this is really relevant to our times.
Yeah.
Nice segue back to Jacob.
Oh, hi guys. Forgot I was here, right?
Yeah, sorry, Jacob.
No, it's all good, guys.
Go ahead, please.
Well, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say anymore after all this. But, I think I'll just talk about NFTs real fast, because I think that's really important, and I think that's what's coming up, and I think that's relevant.
Can you? And in relation to World Peace Coin, please.
Yes. So we have on the team right now working for us. His name is Nick. He is the co-artist of Splinter Gremlins, which are the NFTs for Bitcoin, Harry Potter, Obama Sonic, 10 Inu, or otherwise known as Bitcoin.
I
probably know that.
I didn't know that, like, honestly. I'm sorry.
Well,
but now
yeah.
I know that, and I know
The real
Splinter
Bitcoin.
Gremlins is like a big collection, right? Like they're like top 50 or something all time.
Yeah.
In our like NFT world.
Yes,
By
so-
the money, which is like the only thing that matters.
And
in the end,
Bitcoin
maybe.
is the newest, the highest market cap meme coin right now, except for
Yeah,
Pepe.
it is. Yeah. So
Well,
basically,
and
the art-
Sheeb and Doge.
Well,
I guess,
at least in the current new crop of
sure,
Ethereum
sure.
coins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know the acronym on it, and then I saw it, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. So the artist behind that, Nick, is helping us to create NFTs. He's basically trained his own stable diffusion model based off the AI art that we've made, and he's created over 15,000 renders of these, and he's cutting them down to 3,333. And these are highly sophisticated images. Basically, the AI technology he's using right now to make these images, there's no, easy way to mimic these. Like he's reached out to YouTube people, and they don't even know what he's doing. So he's kind of on the cutting edge of creating AI NFTs. And so he's going to be working with us to release NFTs. So these are coming hopefully in the next few weeks.
Cool. It's weird to think about, like, how do you value stuff like that? I mean, there's been straight trash AI NFTs going back to 2021, like as soon as people figured out. It's just interesting to think about, like, more like how do things get valued when you don't know the person, right? Like if there's not some personality associated with it, or some kind of brand personality, like even like Yuga or something is now like a brand personality, right? Like you buy something from them because you know them. And if so, is there like no more just inherent value to art unless it's associated with a real person? Because you never know like what's created by a human. Like it's a weird world now.
I think that's a good point. I think people are going to go back and look at who innovated what. Like when I did the work with Yamashita, we got that technical photography metadata and put it into the properties of the NFT, and that was cool. People liked it. That was new. So I think, you know, with AI, what models did they use? How did they arrive to the end result? And how do the images look? And with the Fiji ones that are coming out, you have the face in the middle, which people can zoom in on for their PFP, and it's prominent. And then you have a lot of images around the sides that the color balance is interesting. The level of intricacy and detail is interesting for AI, because usually when it does that, there's little things that you can catch that are off, and I'm not seeing that. So I'm excited for it. And, you know, the Sproto people, you know, that was revolutionary in itself when it came out. So I think it's all these little advances that happen.
Sproto was an AI thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's crazy world and interesting to see what's happening for sure. I was gonna say about memes. I was just listening to a book while I was driving earlier, and it's talking about like I think it was Richard Dawkins maybe said like a gene is to an organism what a meme is to like a super organism or a social organism. And so you think about like the meme stuff, like it's how does it fit in? Like now it's like in cryptocurrency world, it's like tokenizing the very idea of memes, like separate from. Well, I mean, your meme is world peace, I guess, but like.
Well,
Yeah.
you have to look at the images too,
Exactly.
because when I look at like one thing about the Fiji meme is she's aggressive with peace. She has these pink guns, and she's like dominant and coming in as this almost dominatrix figure, but she doesn't want to punish you. She wants to love you. So there's this concept of like we're dropping bombs. They're love bombs.
Yeah.
So it's like this very aggressive dominatrix, but she's not there to tie you up and spank you. She's there.
Yeah, it's,
to
I mean, it's
enforce
just
the
gone.
peace.
It's gone. So it's gone like from Dogecoin is like the meme version of Bitcoin, right? Like, and then there's, I mean, there's been tons of like meme tokens over the years, but like there's SHIB kind of became like the Doge on ETH in 2020 or whatever, 2021. And then there's like Pepe, which is kind of its own phenomenon. Like these things keep propping up, and it's like it's just weird to think about like, well, like I mean the different models for the distributions of the tokens, because like you know SHIB and Pepe and stuff is just like conjured out of thin air versus being mined, and so like the distributions of these things and how they get spread, and they retain value. Like it's an objective fact now, right? Like I mean, it's tried and tested either way. Like for the proof of work coins or the tokens, that like there's demand for these things. It's like it's just a weird world.
Right.
Yeah, and like I just want to say real fast that like it's interesting that like World Peace Coin, like our meme is World Peace. So it's kind of like it's weird when you see these meme coins come out, like they either copy a meme they've seen on Instagram, or they're trying to meme something. I think memeing World Peace is very interesting. What is this?
I don't know what happened there.
Who shared
What is
this?
Yes, hydrate.
I guess
Maybe.
maybe.
Did you share that?
Did you see that?
Yes,
I'm gonna
we
put
could
that
all
up.
we could all see that.
This is a meme that was created live in the chat.
Okay.
By the way, the Fiji program they're also sharing the love with the Wigger coin. The Wigger coin, people are very mad in the chat and say they have to show some
We
love
haven't
with
mentioned
Wigger
Wigger Coin. Yeah, there's an alliance between Wigger Coin and World Peace Coin.
So
We created a partnership. It's a Remilia partnership. It's Remilia, so it's part of like the My Leader Remilia partnership. So shout out.
So I'm gonna share this. This is a meme that was created live in the chat.
I didn't
And
even know we could
what
share
this
things.
is it is a picture of the love gun overlaid on the Fiji water, and it has a little shout to me. It says hydrated, and it's pointed at Jacob's head. So I'm going to go ahead and share that live here. But this is what I'm talking about. People make this stuff just on their phone. And that's one thing Paulie's done. He would make stuff on his phone and it would be hilarious. And he just made it in like 1 second. And the culture is evolving rapidly, is what I'm trying to say. People are taking different funny things that are happening in the moment and creating new content on the fly. And it's not this like slow process of editing and script writing. Like I was in the Pepe spaces early and I said, well, frogs over dogs. I don't like dogs. I like frogs. And I would go on and on about how cool frogs were and how much better they were than dogs. And frogs over dogs became a huge hashtag that went viral and tons of people used it. So that there's something to this creativity on the fly and how any community member could put that forth. I'm going to get yelled at. I'm going to try to find who made that meme and give them a shout out. But that's something we did with Pepe, which was really effective. We'd say, make your memes, and we're in a Twitter space, and we're going to post them to the top and give you shout out as you're an account trying to get engagement. And so people see these communities as a way to propel their own personal brand and their way of adding their own original content to the mix. And the end product of the community is something collective here, and anyone could contribute to it. So that is something it's really important to stop ourselves and really take a deep look into crypto,
Right.
where you have these teams that are making this tech, and there's all this forward-looking statements, and there's vaporware, and there's promises and VC money, where people really just want to be entertained. And what I'm seeing
Some
is,
people,
and
not all people, right?
well, listen,
we can measure
I
the
was in
relative
so many
amounts
projects
of people
looking
and
to
their
the
money
tech
like pretty
and trying to
objectively.
engage and not really feeling that connection. And with these kind of communities, I am feeling much more of a connection, and so I gravitate towards that.
Yeah, I mean it's cool that it's out there for people. Like I love that people can use whatever kind of money or tokens that they want. And I can't end this show without saying that I am also the creator of a meme coin, Wownero. I have even the flag in the background over there. It's like a Wownero Canada flag.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome that people can mint tokens or create networks of proof of work coins or whatever kind of money they want to make that reflects whatever memes. Like memes are ideas that are kind of at the core of your whatever cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is built on memes just as much as World Peace Coin is. So I think everything is a meme coin when you look at it from that perspective, right?
So, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe that's a good like deep thought with JW to end the show. I don't know. You guys have any other last thoughts? Because it's been about an hour now. I didn't see. The only thing is somebody's asking what the cat does. What that cat do?
What the cat do?
Keep chilling, chilling, co-hosting.
I have a last meme I'm sharing. By the way, Fiji Water did not sponsor this, nor are we sponsored to host World Peace Coin. But this is just so funny to me. This combination of comedy and activism and entertainment and meme coin. So I thought this would be a good show. And Todd, really an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
As a writer and activist, you've done so much work on the ground, and you've actually inspired me in my own personal activism for some of the events happening today. So I really appreciate you. Jacob, you've inspired me. I've added some different features to the different Telegram rooms I'm part of because of what I've learned in your Telegram. So I just love being around people I learn from, and just really appreciate you guys coming on today.
Thank you. Yeah, and the last thing I'd like to say is I just think it's important that people consider the shitcoins as art as well. I think a lot
agree.
of people,
like
a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into.
I used to call Wownero. Wownero is the coin that I started, and going back to I started on April 1st, 2018, so it's been around for a little while, and I would always call it. It's like cryptocurrency as performance art or shitcoin as performance art, whatever you want to call it. Right? It's like people like it because that's what it is, and that's why people like it. So. I can't I tried to reason over it for a long time, but eventually it's just it's like a network of people who are opting into some shared set of memes that they all are enjoyers of, I guess, right? Like,
You made something original and people love it, and now they've taken it and run with it, man. And it's
Yeah.
people just keep coming back to it because it's funny and interesting, and that's
Yeah.
all it takes.
yeah, I agree. So, Jacob, any last words?
No, thank you for on the show. I learned a lot about Yuga Labs and everything. I didn't know about any of that.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, cheers.
yeah. And I hope to
There's
just
a lot
more
to
people
know,
start
I think. Yeah, check out GordonGarner.com. And actually, before we go, Todd, is there somewhere people can find your article? Because it's not on CoinDesk.
Yeah, the article is in the Wayback Machine.
Oh, really? So you
Yeah,
can
because
look at it.
I still submitted it to them, so I haven't just republished it. But
We can get that in the comments, hopefully,
Yeah.
of the YouTube video.
Yeah.
We'll work on that. Cool.
all
All right. Yeah. Thank you guys and have a good night.
Thank you.
And
All right.
yeah, we'll see you